Smith Haven, I was had a tent in the nearby woods, and I was using local community services for food and other amenities and stuff like that. Daily life at Swift Haven's, it's quite active. We're still adding on to infrastructure and common areas, and plus our own individual dwellings and things like that. It's always positive. Well, not always, but it's for the most part, it's a part of the program that's moving forward, and yeah, we all try and support each other as much as we can. Well, if you're talking about homelessness or any kind of pandemic or emergency, it's like the minute you provide some kind of sheltering, it's an offset. It takes the load off other aspects of society, and as far as like statutory language, that's a whole other issue. So I'm sure they're working it out as homelessness has increased, I believe, over the last 15 years, very significant. Just some people aren't able to engage in the debt credit system like others. Yeah, I think they're still working out what is considered a dwelling. I mean, it's like what our great grandparents, they lived in places like this where they had buckets and porta potty or outhouses and things like that. So they weren't, they turned out okay.
Yeah, true. How does a tiny home community, or this tiny home community, compare to other emergency shelters in town, in your view?
Well, I did some time at base camp, and the people there were helpful. They had just a different structure, and their main focus was allowing meals, and the people that come in that weren't housed or weren't staying there overnight. They did have mats on the floor when I was staying there in quiet time at night, and so you were able to get off the street at night. But they really had no programs for the greater good as far as the populace in terms of moving forward. So they kind of kept you stuck. It's like you're basically just doing time. But and then there's other what else is there? There's camps which aren't really authorized or organized, but. And I think most of the housing over the last 6 years that I'm aware of, it focuses on families and females or middle-aged men haven't had a lot of options in that area. And that's the Opportunity Council, I think, and the BPD. That's their construct,
Yeah. Do you think more of these villages are needed?
These villages are. It's a quarter acre, a little bit more, and they're not really disruptive. They kind of have a balance, and they're a reflection of community and society itself, I think, and they actually just blend right in for the most part, except we do choose colorful displays to find some autonomy in this plastic society.
So what are your thoughts on the resident-managed approach versus the paid staff model?
Well, my biggest criticism is the paid staff model is instead of managing a social or the people that have heart that are in your village, you're managing the money or the debt actually, and that becomes a conflict of interest. You got cognitive dissonance and all kinds of, and then you have secrecy. Have like policy that's being enforced that makes no sense. But the totalitarian or the bottom up or same playing field level, it helps because that somebody's leading that comes from your own situation and they have heart and they're not separatism, too much.
Yeah, that's cool. So how is the village helping you with your goals?
So the village, I believe in investing in social capital and collective efficacy. So we are trying to solve our own problems, support each other, and find resources within our own means, and move forward with our lives and our dreams and our projects. And instead of just always being poked in the head with a stick and being told to move your camp, we have a little foundation where we can go out without a backpack in society or community and engage and find little jobs, find little projects.
If there's one thing that you want to say to the overall community as somebody who's experienced homelessness, what would that be?
It's just, yeah, there's times, it's everybody's situation, there's times when it just seems so dark, it seems so hopeless, it seems miserable, and there's a level of, you gotta take personal inventory and have that quiet time and that downtime, and patience, and then sometimes things cycle around and things start to go your way, and, it's not always about forcing your will, because that's one thing you learn when you're out in the woods or out on the street, It's like, you're a part of something else, it's not about you. But,
Yeah.
so it's okay to be about you sometimes. We gotta shape and form our ego somehow a little bit.
Yeah.
So we can take it out there.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm able to do art.
Oh yeah, your art. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. When you're living out of a backpack, you can't do stuff like that sometimes, unless you're really good.
Yeah. I think your art looks really good, especially that Joker.
This guy, he's not done yet.
Yeah, he looks like he's halfway to completion or something.
Sometimes it's bad luck to show him before, but. All right.
Well, thanks,
Thank you,
Michael.
Jeff.